In Mobile Legends, team synergy is everything. Each hero has a specific role, and the way they combine can make or break a match. While some duos, like Uranus and Leslie or Uranus and Chang'e, have obvious synergy, Nana and Uranus as a team combo often fall short. Here are the top reasons why Nana and Uranus don't make an ideal pairing, explained in detail. Number 1. Lack of direct synergy. One of the biggest issues with pairing Nana and Uranus is the lack of direct synergy between their abilities. Uranus excels as a durable frontline tank who regenerates health over time, absorbing damage and controlling enemy positioning. On the other hand, Nana is a mage support hybrid with a kit focused on crowd control and poke damage. However, unlike Chang'e or other high-damage mages, Nana's abilities lack the burst or sustained DPS needed to fully capitalize on Uranus' ability to create space in team fights. Uranus thrives when paired with heroes who can dish out consistent damage while he absorbs pressure, and Nana's damage output is often too low to make a significant impact in those situations. Number 2. Nana's reliance on poke versus Uranus' role as a tank. Nana's kit revolves around poking enemies from a distance and using her annoying second skill, Molina Smooch, to transform enemies into cute critters, which is great for disrupting opponents but lacks synergy with Uranus' tanking style. Uranus, as a tank, works best when he can dive into the enemy team, soaking up damage and disrupting formations. However, Nana's poke-oriented style doesn't align well with this strategy. Nana is best played as a backline mage or a support that stays out of the thick of the battle, while Uranus is constantly in the enemy's face. This separation means that Uranus is often left without adequate follow-up damage or crowd control from Nana, leaving him vulnerable to being focused down without contributing enough to team fights. Number 3. Nana's low burst damage. A successful team combo often requires one hero to dish out damage while the other creates space and distractions. Uranus excels in creating that space with his durability, but Nana's damage output simply doesn't compare to other mages or marksmen who can provide that consistent pressure. Even though Molina Smooch offers crowd control, it's not enough to follow up on Uranus dives effectively. Nana's poke damage, while useful in harassing opponents from afar, doesn't take full advantage of the pressure Uranus applies, resulting in a lack of real kill potential during fights. Number 4. Weak follow-up to Uranus engagements. Uranus relies on strong follow-up from his teammates when he engages in a fight. Whether it's locking down targets or zoning enemies out, he needs allies who can burst down or focus the targets he's holding off. However, Nana's abilities don't provide the kind of strong follow-up Uranus needs. Her ultimate, Molina Blitz, does deal area of effect damage and slows enemies, but it's not powerful enough to eliminate the enemies Uranus has softened up. As a result, Nana doesn't capitalize well on the space Uranus creates, meaning the enemy team can often disengage or counterattack before significant damage is done. Number 5. Mismatched priorities in team fights. Uranus' main goal in team fights is to absorb damage, disrupt enemy backlinks, and zone out key targets. He's excellent at engaging fights and creating chaos for squishy enemies like marksmen and mages. Nana, however, is more concerned with providing utility through her transformation ability and poking from a distance. This mismatch in priorities creates a disconnect in how team fights are approached. Uranus often needs aggressive teammates who can dive alongside him or provide heavy ranged damage while he controls the battlefield, but Nana's approach is more passive, offering utility but not the high-impact damage Uranus thrives alongside. Number 6. Poor scaling and late-game performance. Both Nana and Uranus struggle somewhat in the late game. Uranus, while incredibly tanky, can be countered by items that reduce healing and magic damage, which leaves him vulnerable in extended fights if the enemy team builds accordingly. Meanwhile, Nana's damage falls off in the late game compared to other mages who can deal more significant burst damage. Together, they form a duo that can be underwhelming when the game reaches its critical stages, as neither hero has the ability to truly carry a team to victory once the enemy builds the proper counter items. Number 7. Nana's squishiness and vulnerability. Nana is a squishy hero, and while she has the safety net of Molina's gift, which revives her after taking fatal damage. This ability alone doesn't make her durable enough to survive in fights where Uranus is the main tank. Uranus, by design, needs teammates who can survive long enough to deal damage while he absorbs the brunt of the enemy's attacks. Unfortunately, Nana's low survivability means she's often targeted first or caught out in team fights, even with her passive reviving her briefly. This can lead to situations where Uranus is left tanking for a team that can't survive long enough to deal the damage necessary to win the fight. Number 8. Overlapping playstyles. Another reason why Nana and Uranus don't make an ideal combo is that they overlap in roles that don't complement each other. Nana's kit focuses on utility and disruption, which can often conflict with Uranus' playstyle as a dive-heavy, durable tank. Instead of working together to create a clear strategy for team fights, their abilities often overlap in ways that don't synergize. Uranus doesn't necessarily need disruption as much as he needs follow-up damage or crowd control that helps him lock down enemies, which Nana's poke and transformation don't adequately provide. In summary, while Uranus and Nana can be individually strong heroes in the right hands, as a duo, they lack the synergy needed to dominate team fights. The combination of Uranus' tankiness and Nana's utility-based kit doesn't lead to a cohesive strategy, making them an underwhelming team combo compared to other pairings. For players looking to maximize their potential, it's best to pair Uranus with a hero who can dish out high damage or crowd control, and Nana with a tank that better complements her poke and transformation playstyle. Remember, Mobile Legends is all about team composition, and finding the right synergy is key to winning. To overcome the challenges of pairing Nana and Uranus in Mobile Legends, players need to adopt a strategy that offsets their weaknesses while maximizing the strengths each hero can bring to the table. Here's how you can work around the lack of direct synergy and improve the effectiveness of the Nana-Uranus combo. Coordinate crowd control with Uranus. Although Nana's Molina Smooch and Ultimate Molina Blitz are not burst damage tools, they are great for crowd control. To maximize their impact, it's important to time these abilities alongside Uranus engagements. For example, when Uranus initiates a fight, Nana can immediately use Molina Smooch on key enemies, transforming them into critters and disabling them temporarily. This buys Uranus more time to absorb damage and control the battlefield. Rely on team support. One of the biggest ways to overcome the weak synergy between Nana and Uranus is by ensuring strong team support from other heroes. Pairing this duo with a high-damage marksman or a burst mage in the mid lane can complement their weaknesses. For instance, while Uranus is soaking up damage and Nana is providing crowd control and poke, a high-damage ally like Claude, Lunox, or Gus Ion can focus on eliminating targets. Essentially, Nana and Uranus serve as a utility combo, controlling the battlefield and setting up kills for their teammates. Emphasize Uranus' sustainability with item builds. While Nana lacks high burst damage, Uranus can make up for this by emphasizing his sustainability in prolonged team fights. Building defensive items like Oracle and Dominance Ice can help Uranus stay alive even longer, ensuring he continues to be a strong frontline presence. This approach allows the combo to survive long enough for other damage dealers on the team to come into play. Late-game adaptation. In the late game, both Uranus and Nana can fall off compared to other heroes who scale better into the late stages of the match. To mitigate this, focus on playing a more tactical and defensive style. Avoid direct confrontations without backup and instead focus on securing objectives, split pushing, and poking down enemies from a distance. Nana's poke becomes more valuable in the late game for whittling down enemies' health, while Uranus can absorb pressure to prevent enemy sieges. Use Uranus' durability to zone enemies away from objectives like Lord or turrets, and let Nana chip away at the enemy health bars from afar. In this way, they can play a more strategic role in the late game without needing to rely solely on their individual power scaling. While Nana and Uranus may not seem like an ideal team combination at first, there are ways to overcome their lack of synergy through smart play, item choices, and positioning. It's possible to shift Nana's playstyle to focus more on damage and crowd control, while using Uranus' ability to create space and tank for the team. Supporting them with high-damage teammates, Focusing on map control and adjusting strategies for different stages of the game can turn this unconventional pairing into a viable option. With practice, Nana and Uranus can be transformed from a mismatched pair into a solid duo that controls the battlefield with poke, crowd control, and sheer durability. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more in-depth guides, tips, and strategies to help you master other heroes in Mobile Legends. Stay tuned for more content to improve your gameplay and dominate the battlefield.